One of the most important things you should do in any relationship is set boundaries. The quicker you do it, the better. It will help you out in the long run, especially because you don't want to get in a relationship weeks, months, and years down the line, and it feels like you're in a relationship with a stranger or someone is acting a certain way and you don't really know why. So to me, I think there's like four types of boundaries. You have communication, you have physical, you have emotional, and you have social. So first, we'll start off with communication. I'm not a big texter. I hate to text. I will text you if I am interested in conversation, but I don't like to do it. I prefer phone calls. I really prefer to be in person. So, I'm not really into the whole digital relationship type of thing. I don't really, that's not my thing. So, if I don't text you, I want you to understand that I am busy and I am doing things and I am more interested in seeing you face to face. So that's when, I would set up a date. And that's an understood thing once it's brought up. And people usually, they cool with that. But if someone is not cool with that, then you probably don't need to be in a relationship with that person because that's a very simple boundary of yours, right? And another thing, if there's a heated argument or something like that, give me some time to cool down. You take some time to cool down. Don't yell at me. You know what I mean? And if we can't talk like adults and we can't talk to each other like we care for each other, then we don't need to talk at all. We need to take a step back. We need to do this, but we're not going to yell at each other. I'm not going to yell at you. You're not going to yell at me. I'm not going to disrespect you. You're not going to disrespect me. And if it gets to the point where I yell at you, please let me know to come back to reality. And I'm going to let you know. Right? So moving on to physical, right? So my love language is physical touch. I've always liked touching. My grandmother used to put me on her legs and like throw me up, and she used to call it the crow game. And I would jump up, and then once I get tired, she would rub my head to sleep. When I used to get upset, I'd go lay up under my mother. She'd rub my head to sleep. So little things like that have became a part of who I am to the point where now I love to touch. Like if I love somebody, if I care about somebody, if I want to be with somebody, I'm going to touch them. It's just it is what it is. I rub up against them. It is, that's just what I do. So I like to be touched and I like to touch. But everybody's not comfortable with that. It's not like I'm gonna pursue this girl and then the moment I see her, I'm gonna touch all over her. No, because she might not like that. So that's when it's important to communicate, the boundaries in the physical realm. Like, what do you like? Do you not like being touched behind your neck? Some people have trauma. It's just certain things you have to understand, and it helps things, just move more naturally. But what a lot of people do is they try to, I don't know what type of mind games it is, but for example, a lot of ladies do it, and ladies, y'all gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. But they'll text a dude or call a dude and they get ready to meet and it's like, I just want to let you know we're not doing anything tonight. It's like, okay, you just set a water boundary or some translucent boundary that usually gets crushed. And some people hold up to that bargain. I'm not saying everybody do it, but I don't know what's the need for it. I don't know if it's, trying to stop patterns from happening. Is it denial? I don't know what it is. But I'm not finna tell nobody. Like, we not finna do nothing on the first night. It's just an understood thing, and that's not what I'm here for. Now, if it gets to the point where, you with somebody, having a good time, and they start to advance things and you don't want that, that's when you establish those boundaries. I'm not like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not giving up my body that quickly. You know what I'm saying? That's not my focus. And that's when you bring those things up. But you don't have to just throw those things out there because for one, it makes it awkward, you know? And then two, that kind of makes your level of respect kind of go down. If you told me, or if you tell somebody, I'm not giving up my body on the first date, and then the first date you give up your body, I don't look at you as less of a person, but I don't really take your words for much. You know what I'm saying? But moving on to social, right? So when I was in a relationship, I'm a social butterfly. I'm an introvert, but I'm a social butterfly. I can talk to a bunch of people. I go to a bunch of places. I like to meet people. And once I got in a relationship, I forgot how much I liked meeting people. Everything was cool and I didn't desire to go out meeting people. But once my relationship was over and I stayed to myself, I was like, damn, what's missing? But it was just like camaraderie and just meeting people and networking and learning things about people. I forgot about that element of myself. And when I met my girlfriend, she was very reclusive and she didn't really go to places. She didn't really do much. She did not like crowds. So I just kind of took that and was like, you know what? It's cool. I'll come into your side of the world. I can make that compromise and everything is cool. Well, I never expressed those things about me, but that was never an issue. So everything was cool. But it's important for you to, tell people what do you like? Like my mother, she told her husband, I don't like crowds. I don't go out past 10. Like this is what it is. And it's an understood thing. They go somewhere, they go out to eat, they both back in the house. Like, and it's cool. But some people, like you'll take the nightclub dude and the housewife and they'll get in a relationship and this dude out at 2, 3 in the morning and the wife at home pissed off, but they didn't establish those boundaries. So you have to let people know, like, look, I'm not very social, so don't just throw me into situations where I have to be social. Like, yeah, I want you to push me to grow in certain areas, but don't just make me uncomfortable. Like, I'm letting you know what it is right now so there's no confusion, right? It's not like some extrovert is trying to drag an introvert to a party. Those things are understood right then and there. You know what I'm saying? And if you ever in a situation when you're with your partner and you see them uncomfortable in a social situation, then you know what it is. All right, we're around a crowd. Let me take my little baby out of here and everything gonna be good. But it's all about setting those boundaries, letting people know what it is. So on to the next, emotional. Now, emotional boundaries, it could be twisted in many different ways, but I would say a lot of the things like trauma that you have, if you feel like dumping that out on the first date, if you feel like dumping that out early, that's on you. I think it's ways to do that. I think it's ways to let people know things early on. I think it's ways to let people know things, as you progress. And I think there's ways to not just drop it on them, but like, let's say you 3 months into a relationship and somebody's like, yo, I never heard you speak about your parents. Like, what's going on? It's like, let them know, don't, oh, my parents are horrible and they suck and this and this and that and this. No, just say, me and my parents, we don't really have the best relationship. And, it's not something I really enjoy talking about, but, you deserve to know because you're a part of my life. You witness in my life, but it's different ways you can do it. But one of those things, that comes to my mind is with emotions. You never want to be with a person that tries to play with your emotions. You never want to be with a person who uses your emotions to crucify you in a sense. So like, if you know something hurts me, don't sit there and use that to beat me down. And that also comes with, the downside of being vulnerable to a person. When you let a person know what kind of makes you tick, and when you let a person know what hurts you, you kind of have to deal with that risk of, that ammo being used against you. But you have to let people know what's going on in your life in many different aspects, because let's say I was to get into this relationship and I didn't tell anybody anything, and I didn't tell you about my communication boundaries, my physical boundaries, my social boundaries, my emotional boundaries. And then if you stepped over one of those boundaries and you upset me, how can I be upset with you? I didn't tell you anything. I told you nothing. It's like, imagine, you getting a piece of furniture, you get something that you have to put together and you disregard the owner's manual, or you never ask for the owner's manual or the instructions, and you put it together and then it falls apart. And now you're mad at the company for sending you a faulty chair. You the one who put it in there and didn't put the screws in it. You didn't put the whole chair together, just put everything together and then flop down in it. And you wonder why the chair fell apart. It's because you did not read the instructions. You did not read the manual. A conversation gives you instructions. A conversation gives you ultimately the manual to how to love a person, how to deal with a person, how to cater to a person. And boundaries are that. It's like the grand scheme of it. It's the manual, it's the instructions. When you get a new game and you don't know how to play, you got to go look at the instructions. You got to go look at all the details. You don't go here, you do this. This is how you jump. This is how you fight. That's all boundaries is. And many people get boundaries confused with standards. There are standards in boundaries and boundaries and standards, but they're not the same. They're interchangeable, So I'll make a video about standards and, upholding those standards and never letting people cross your boundaries and having high standards. But boundaries are important. Now, I call boundaries the I love you without saying I love you cheat code. Because sometimes we hit with emotions so fast that we want to tell people we love them, which is not the smartest thing. I don't feel like you should hold yourself back, but I also feel like you shouldn't force yourself onto people. But what I usually do is, if I'm with a person and I feel like, it's getting to that point, I'll let them know. I'll ask them about their opinion on boundaries and, whatever they say, blah, blah, blah. And I'll say, you know, I only set boundaries. You know, I have like my personal boundaries and stuff, but I only really set deep boundaries with people I want to be around. And then I'll find a way to spin out of that conversation. And then a few days later, or whenever that time comes, as early as possible, then I'll ask them like, you know what? You know, the vibes are good, whatever, whatever. I plan on being around you for a long time. I just want to know some of your boundaries, and I don't want to overstep those boundaries. The eyes light up every time. You gotta. You, you ain't hear it from me. You didn't hear it from me. But yeah, man, I think that's very crucial, and I believe a lot of relationships go into the ground because boundaries are either not established or they get overstepped and disrespected. So, like I said, I'll make that video about standards. Have many more videos coming for y'all. And yeah, let's build healthy relationships. I love y'all. Y'all take care and peace.